This is Gil. Gil is a big fan of
fish.
He moved to Paldea and enrolled in the Uva Academy in the hopes that he might one day become a marine fishologist. That being a person who studies exclusively
Fish.
Gil not only wants to educate people about
Fish.
he also wants to prove to the world just how powerful they really are. So today, I decided to help Gil with both of his goals by taking him through a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokémon Violet with only
Fish.
If you want to know the full rule set for this run, then you can check it out for yourself in the description below. I would tell you what the rules are now, but we both know that you don't have the attention span. It's the first day of school and we started with the director of the academy literally breaking into our house. He offers us complimentary starter Pokemon, but none of them are fish, so we have to go catch our own.
Fish fact number 1.
Most fish live in the water, and despite wanting to be a marine fishologist, Gil does not know how to swim. So we go stand on a beach waiting for something to get within throwing range until we eventually hit a wild Arrokuda. Oh yeah, we also find this futuristic lizard, but that doesn't matter. This is Projectile, and after catching her, Gil and I continue walking to his new school. We don't get very far before our neighbor Nimona challenges us to a battle, which isn't great since she chose the Sprigatito that Gil rejected, and I'm pretty sure that thing has a grudge against him.
Fish fact number 2.
Cats are one of the many predators of fish, and this cat is extra dangerous since most fish don't like grass or electricity. Projectile is no different from most fish, being weak to both of Nimona's Pokemon. Luckily, Gil and I are able to counteract this by grabbing the TMs for Ice Fang and Drill Run and some attack EVs from a nearby flock of Flamigo. Our preparations end up paying off since Projectile is able to OHKO Nimona's Sprigatito and Palmy with her newly acquired moves. After the battle, Gil makes it to class and makes some new friends who ask me to help them achieve their dreams too. Okay people, I'm not a miracle worker, so I can only help one person at a- No, Gil, don't say yes! Fine, we'll help. Nimona wants Gil to become her equal, Arven wants to find and bully some giants for their lunch money, Cassiopeia wants to take down an organized crime syndicate, and I actually don't know what Penny's dream is.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
After a number of weeks go by, the Uva Academy treasure hunt is finally upon us, which means that we're free to explore the Paldea region in full. Gil and I head over to South Province Area 2 to find Gil's next team member, and we end up catching a Magikarp that he names Gyarados. That's right, Gil. Keep the dream alive. We then buy some leftovers from the Delibird Presents in Cascarafa, grab the TM for liquidation, and give both to Projectile so we can kick an olive around and challenge the first gym. The gym leader, Katie, is baking up some fresh snacks for us, but I'm not talking about cupcakes. I'm talking about bugs.
Fish fact number 3.
Bugs are a lot of fish's favorite snack. This is why bugs, like worms, are used as bait by fishermen. So it stands to reason that Projectile would absolutely dominate the Bug-type gym with Terra-boosted liquidations, earning us the first badge and some cupcakes. After gorging ourselves on bugs and cupcakes, Arven gives us a call and asks us to help him attack a giant crab so that we can steal its only food source. Yeah, why are we doing this? Honestly, it's probably better not to ask questions. We ambush the crab and bully it with Projectile until it gives us its lunch, which we share with Miraidon.
Yummy, yummy sandwich.
The next stop on Gil's journey is the Artisan Gym, home of Brassius, the grass-type artist. As you might recall from
Fish fact number 2.
most fish don't like grass, so this gym is going to be a bit difficult. At least, that's what I would be saying if Gil hadn't already caught Stress Ball the Quillfish. Which leads me right into
Fish fact number 4.
Though pufferfish like Stress Ball here may seem soft and squishy, you should not attempt to grab and or squeeze them without consent. Most pufferfish do not like to be touched and or squeezed. In fact, a lot of them have the ability Poison Point, just like Stress Ball. That being said, Stress Ball also has the Poison Terra type, and with a moveset of Spikes, Minimize, Fell Stinger, and Poison Jab, he's ready to put Brassius in his place. The Verdant Virtuoso leads with a Petalil that knows Sleep Powder, so we instantly Terrastalize Stress Ball and OHKO it with a Poison Jab. Next up is Smoliv, and since this little guy doesn't have many good moves to damage Stress Ball, we're free to set up 3 layers of spikes and 3 minimizes. Stress Ball then KOs the Smoliv with 2 Fell Stingers, getting +3 attack as the Truly Wudo comes out and takes damage from the spikes. All that setup probably wasn't necessary because Stress Ball is able to outspeed Brassius' final Pokemon and take it out with a single Poison Jab. Now with 2 badges in his possession, Gil decides that it's time to help Arven bully another giant Pokemon. But this time, it's personal. Because this time, it's a stork.
Fish fact number 5.
Storks are another natural predator of the humble fish. And this one is absolutely massive! Gil has to strike it down, or all the fish in Paldea could become victims of this villain's voracious appetite. But there's no way he can do this with his current team. So after a quick jaunt to a nearby cave and a solid 10 minutes of searching, we found our fish savior, a Gibble.
Fish fact number 6.
Despite what some of you might be thinking right now, Gibble and its entire evolution line are all fish. They're based on land sharks, which, as the name implies, are sharks on the land. And sharks are actually a type of fish. So, since Gibble is a shark and sharks are fish, Gibble is a fish. And we named her Dunna because, well, Dunna. Dunna, 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 Dunna! After grabbing the TM for Rock Slide and giving it to Dunna along with the hard stone, we climb up the mountain to Bombardier while getting pummeled by a rock slide of hard stones. Ow. Unlike our fight with the Titan Claw, we need to simultaneously get lucky and be careful since there's no time to heal in between the phases of this fight. We start the battle with Dunna, who manages to dodge a rock throw on the first turn and fire back with a super effective rock slide. Another rock throw does manage to connect, but so does a rock slide, bringing the bird down to red health. We know that a wing attack will kill here, so we switch into Projectile, who tanks the hit on 8 HP and hits back with a priority Aqua Jet, ending the first phase. In the next phase, we immediately switch Dunna into Gyarados, expecting the Bombardier to go for a wing attack against her. For some reason it targets Arven's Knackley, so I guess Gyarados gets to live for now. Yes, Gil and I were fully intending on sacrificing Gyarados. We can talk about that later. We switch into Stress Ball as the big bird uses Torment and Knackley lands a rock throw. On the next turn, while Bombardier targets Knackley, we set up a Minimize to mitigate the chances of Stress Ball taking another hit. The Torment on the previous turn means that we have to use a new move, so we Terrastalize and use Poison Jab. With Knackley's help, we manage to bring the Titan down to red HP as it hits Stress Ball down to 42 HP after leftovers. He then avoids the next rock throw, setting up a Minimize as Knackley takes down the bird with one final smackdown, winning us the battle and saving all of Fishkind from this vicious stork. Wait, you're bullying these giant Pokemon so that you can save your dog? That's actually so sweet, we'd be happy to help. Thanks to Arven's gross-looking sandwich, Miraidon is now able to move across water, and it tries to convince Gil that it too is a fish. Gil isn't buying it, but he does take Miraidon out to sea to catch some new team members. We start by catching Artery the Love Disc, followed by Fraud the Barboach and Marlene the Veluza. We also get to evolve Gyarados into Magikarp. Not!
Fish fact number 7.
Magikarp is a fish. That's pretty obvious. Gyarados, however, is a type of dragon, commonly referred to as a sea serpent. And I say dragon in very heavy quotation marks, Game Freak. But dragons, barring a few exceptions, are not fish, so Gyarados is not an acceptable team member, but Gyarados is, and she'll just have to live out the rest of her days as potential cannon fodder. Sorry, girl. Anywho, the next thing on Gil's agenda is to help Cassiopeia take down an organized crime syndicate known as Team Star. Their first leader manages the Dark Squad and goes by the name of Giacomo. Alright. So after grabbing the TMs for Brick Break and Earth Power, we meet a vaguely familiar man with a very convincing pompadour, and Gil and I storm the base and battle You know what? I'm not doing this. His name is Dave now. Dave leads with Pawniard, so we bring in Fraud, expecting her to OHKO with an Earth Power. The Pawniard gets off a pretty soft Aerial Ace as Fraud connects, bringing it down to the red. Yeah, we were going to give her the Soft Sand to boost the power of her ground moves, but we gave her the Chesto Berry instead. It ends up working out since Fraud is able to survive another Aerial Ace on the next turn, heal up to full with Rest, and then cure herself with said Chesto Berry. After that, she takes another Aerial Ace and knocks out the Pawniard with another Earth Power, essentially achieving the same result as if she was just holding the Soft Sand. The only difference now is that she doesn't have the Soft Sand! It's alright, hindsight is 20/20. The Starmobile is up next, and it tries to intimidate Fraud, but thanks to Oblivious, she remains unaffected. Expecting a Wicked Torque, Gil and I switch Fraud into Artery, who goes down to 25 HP after leftovers. On the next turn, she stalls for recovery by going for Protect, but we're not entirely sure that she'll live another Wicked Torque. So, we use a Charm, and Artery actually survives with 1 HP! Way to go, Artery! She's able to lower the Starmobile's attack by 2 stages and gets swapped out after another Protect stall. Dunna is up next, and after taking a decent chunk of damage from Snarl, she Protect stalls to get some HP back and then connects with a Sand attack. With one more Protect stall, Dunna should have enough HP to survive a non-crit Snarl, and she does, getting off another Sand attack. Now at -2 attack and accuracy, Dave should go for the non-stab Swift more often than his other 2 attacks. So after Protect stalling one more time with Dunna, we switch into Stress Ball, who ends up avoiding a Snarl. Stress Ball takes a soft Swift on the next turn and sets up a Minimize to ensure that Swift is the Starmobile's best move going forward. After that, Gil and I Terrastalize him into a pure Poison type and start wailing on the car with Terra-boosted Poison Jabs until a metal sound scares us into bringing Fraud back in. Fraud manages to avoid a Snarl, so we switch back into Stress Ball, who gets hit with a metal sound again. Gosh dang it. This time we switch into Projectile, who's holding the Assault Vest and learn the TM for Brick Break. Yeah, I don't know how she's able to learn Brick Break. You know what? It doesn't matter. She takes 2 Swifts and avoids a Snarl, firing back with 2 super effective Brick Breaks. Gil and I don't want to test our luck on the next turn, so we swap back into Stress Ball, who gets hit with another Snarl. All it takes after that is 2 more Poison Jabs, and the Starmobile is officially defeated. Take that, Dave! Continuing the journey, Gil sets his sights on defeating the next gym, and I prepare for the collab of a lifetime. Ayano is an electric-type gym leader / streamer, but we have enough ground types to confidently walk into her gym and defeat her. Dunna even evolves into Gabite, which gives the team a huge power boost. So this should be easy, right? Wrong! Her ace Mismagius is an absolute monster. Not only does it have Levitate to negate its ground weakness when it Terrastalizes, but it also has a moveset of Charge Beam, which has a chance to increase its special attack, Hex, which deals more damage when the target is statused, and Confused Ray, a status move. Ayano, girl, I love you, but chill the Without a reliable way to take out the Mismagius, this gym is going to be super difficult, is what I would have said if Gil and I hadn't come up with a flawless strategy. That's right, I said flawless. Our strategy is Marlene the Veluza. You see, Marlene has Mold Breaker, an ability that allows her attacks to ignore the abilities of other Pokemon. Marlene also has access to Drill Run, a ground-type attack. Do you get where I'm going with this? Are you reading between the lines? I think you got it. There is, however, one problem with this plan, and that is the fact that Marlene is weak to both Charge Beam and Hex. But I already told you that this plan is flawless, and I meant what I said. Gil trades Marlene to me, and I'm able to change her Terra type to Ground at the Treasure Eatery. And before I get a flood of comments saying, "Oh, that's cheating! You can't do that!" This is my Nuzlocke, using my rules. So if I say this is allowed, then it's allowed. Simple as that. And besides, it really only saves me time. We could very easily gain access to a Ground Terra Veluza, it would just take forever to find the right raid. That being said, I trade Marlene back to Gil and we head into the Oh really, Nimona? Right now? Ugh, fine. Nimona is currently going easy on us, so she really isn't that much of an issue. After beating her, Gil and I can start playing I Spy with Director Clavel as I start my collab with the supercharged streamer herself. What's that, Ayana? You want me to remind everyone that they should subscribe to the channel if they're enjoying this video? You also want me to tell them to turn on notifications so they'll know when I post a new video? Well, alright then. You heard her, folks. Subscribe, leave a like. It helps me out a ton and tells me that you enjoyed this video. Oh hey look, we found the director. Now it's time to battle. We start with Dunna, who can easily take down Ayano's Wattrel with a Hearthstone-boosted Rock Slide, and then KO her Luxio with 2 Bulldozes. It does get off an Intimidate, lowering Dunna's attack, but we decide to keep her in against the Belly Bolt anyway. After 3 turns of Bulldoze and Water Gun, both Belly Bolt and Dunna get taken down to red HP, prompting a switch into Marlene. She takes a resisted Water Gun, Terrastalizes into a Ground type, and finishes off the Avocado Frog with a Slash, leaving only the dreaded Mismagius. After Terrastalizing into an Electric type, the Witch tries to confuse Marlene, but her held Personberry cures the confusion and allows her to get off a powerful Terra-boosted Drill Run. This leaves the Mismagius with enough health for a priority Aqua Jet on the next turn to strike it down, giving us the win. After the gym battle, Projectile evolves into Barraskewda, giving Gil's team the power boost it needs to fight the next boss of Team Star, Mela.
Fish fact number 8.
Fish are exceptional swimmers, as you can see from Projectile's Swift Swim ability, which allows her to swim swiftly in the rain. Fire types, however, are bad swimmers, who are weakened by the rain. And cars, being terrestrial vehicles, are the worst swimmers of all. Especially Mela's car, which is also a fire type. So after teaching Projectile Rain Dance, we can counteract Torkoal's Drought and take everything down with Rain, Terra, and Mystic Water boosted liquidations. Who are you, strange pompadour man? Why are you here? Sadly, we're going to have to hold the questions for later because Gil's fish have caught the scent of an absolutely massive worm. And, well, I mean, a man's fish gotta eat. After everyone's had lunch, Fraud evolves into the catfish she was always destined to become, and we swim around the ocean until we find a level 25 Tynamo. Tynamo's electric typing is going to be incredibly useful for the next gym, so we catch her and name her Lychee.
Fish fact number 9.
Tynamo is based on lampreys and electric eels, both of which are fish and known for levitating above the ground. This means that Gil's brand new electric type is immune to ground attacks, and thus has no weaknesses. Lychee is practically invincible. The next gym leader must have heard about Gil's new fish because when we got there, old man Kofu was running away in fear. Either that, or he's late for an auction and forgot his wallet. Because Gil has a heart of gold, we head over to Porto Marinada to give Kofu his money back, and he offers us a gym battle in return. Gil has to decline for now because Lychee is indeed invincible, but she can't take on the gym by herself. So we train her up against Wild Giraffarigs to give her as many special attack EVs as possible and grab the Focus Sash to make her even more invincible. Now that Lychee is ready for the battle, we can challenge the Surging Chef. We start with Projectile against his Veluza and immediately hit it with a super effective Throat Chop. I don't know how Barraskewda can learn that move either, but it takes the filleted fish down to what has to be like 1 HP. A slash after the fact doesn't do too much damage, but to ensure that we knock it out on the next turn, Projectile goes for an Aqua Jet. Wugtrio is Kofu's next Pokemon, so Gil switches into Stress Ball so we can easily tank a Headbutt. The Wugtrio outspeeds us, so it just goes for Headbutt for the rest of the battle, and we just have to hope for no flinches. Luckily, Stress Ball can mitigate the amount of times it hits with Minimize, and even procs a Poison Point, giving us some damage over time. After getting to Max Evasion, we start setting up spikes to cripple the incoming Crabominable, and I don't know how he did it, but Stress Ball managed to get 3 layers of spikes up without flinching a single time. He is, however, on 26 HP after leftovers, and Gil and I don't want to test our luck, so we switch into Gyarados. Now you're probably thinking that we plan on sacrificing her to Wugtrio to get a safe switch, but you'd actually be wrong. Gyarados is able to survive 2 headbutts and hit back with a flail that manages to KO after all the poison damage. Good job, Gyarados. You got your first KO of the Nuzlocke. Sadly, it's also your last, since Gil and I were planning on sacrificing you to the Crabominable to get a safe switch into Lychee. Listen, I'm sorry, but Terra-boosted Crab Hammers are terrifying. Anywho, now that Lychee is safely on the field, she just needs to hit a Charge Beam, which she does. So after surviving Crab Hammer with a Focus Sash, Lychee can finish off the Yeti Crab with a Spark and win the battle. Now, a moment for Gyarados the Magikarp. You tried harder than anyone else, Gyarados, but it just wasn't enough. May you swim forever peacefully in fish heaven.
Fish fact number 10.
Fish are very susceptible to toxic chemicals spilled in their home, so when Gil heard that the next faction of Team Star specializes in poison types, he had to put a stop to their antics. We didn't exactly know what they were doing, but it couldn't be good. This kid Yusuf tries to stop us at the gate, but he gets distracted by Clive, allowing us to raid the base and stop Team Star from staying up late and playing video games? That's not evil. Nope, wait, it doesn't matter. Per Cassiopeia's request, we press on to challenge Atticus. His lead Skuntank has Sucker Punch and Toxic, so we start with Stress Ball, who is immune to Toxic and can negate Sucker Punches by just not using an attack. He gets to Max Evasion with Minimize and sets up 3 layers of spikes, by which point the Skuntank only has Venoshock to hit him with. This allows Stress Ball to slowly whittle down the skunk with Poison Jab, so that Toxic and Venoshock are no longer problems for the rest of our fish. Atticus's next Pokemon is a normal Revavroom, so we switch Marlene in on a Bulldoze that allows said Revavroom to outspeed with an Assurance on the next turn. But it doesn't matter since Marlene can OHKO it with a Terra-boosted Drill Run. Muck is up next, but even though it gets off a Sludge Wave, it too goes down to a Terra-boosted Drill Run. Last but not least is the Starmobile, which hits Marlene with a spin out that brings her down to 9 HP, and harshly lowers its own speed. She follows it up with one more Drill Run that takes it down to about half health and activates Toxic Debris. Since Marlene could die on the next turn, Gil switches into Fraud, who immediately gets poisoned and takes a Noxious Torque. The Starmobile doesn't have much to damage Fraud, even with the poison status, so she's able to easily defeat it with 3 Earth Powers. You know, Gil, I'm starting to think that these guys aren't actually a crime syndicate. They kinda just seem like misguided kids. I don't know. Maybe we should grab some dinner at the Treasure Eatery and rethink this whole Operation Starfall thing. Excuse me, waiter? I'd like a medium rare steak, and my friend here will have a medium serving of Fire Blast style rice balls with lemon. Whoa, wait, what? Ah! What just happened? Where did all the people go? Okay, well, apparently ordering the rice balls that way triggers a battle with a businessman who doubles as the Medali gym leader, so I guess we're fighting Larry. He starts the fight with Komala as Gil leads Projectile. We know that a yawn is coming, so we use the free turn to set up a rain dance that boosts Projectile's speed and power. On the next turn, we can OHKO Larry's first Pokemon with a Terra Rain boosted Liquidation and negate the yawn with a Chesto Berry. Dunsparce is out next, and this thing is super bulky. It's able to survive a powered-up Liquidation from Projectile and paralyzes her with Glare, negating the Swift Swim boost. Luckily, Projectile isn't fully paralyzed on the next turn and is able to get off an Aqua Jet to take down the Dunsparce, forcing out Larry's ace. As the crowd cheers for the businessman, Projectile manages to outspeed and hits hard with a Liquidation, but doesn't KO, allowing the Staraptor to hit harder with a Terra-boosted Facade. The rain disappears on the next turn, but a defense drop from the previous Liquidation means that Projectile should be able to take down the bird with an Aqua Jet as long as she doesn't get fully paralyzed. And just like that, she manages to shake off the paralysis and knock out the Staraptor, winning us the battle against Larry. You know, Gil and I never got that moment to think about Operation Starfall, and we're still not going to since Nemona wants to test the power of our fish while Champion Gita watches. This fight is still relatively easy since Nemona still isn't using her full strength, so... Now if you don't mind, Gil and I have to prepare for the next gen. Rhyme is a Ghost-type gym leader famous for her music and her use of double battles, which are notoriously harder than single battles. So after evolving Leechy into Electric and then Electros, we go out to sea to search for a good support for Rhyme's gym. I wish I was kidding here, but it actually took us an hour to find an Alomomola that was a suitable level. I was starting to go a bit crazy by the end of it, but Gil held strong and caught Wall the Alomomola.
Fish fact number 11.
Some fish are scientifically classified as glass cannons. This means that they can deal a lot of damage, but can't actually take a hit themselves. Other fish, like Gil's new Alomomola, are classified as walls. This means that they can absorb a lot of hits for the other members of your team, which is exactly how we plan on using Wall for the battle against Rhyme. But before we do that, we have to fight Moist Critical. Yeah, Paldea's weird. Anywho, Rhyme. She sends out Mimikyu and Bayonet, and we lead with Projectile and Wall. We Terrastalize Projectile on the first turn and click Rain Dance to avoid the incoming Sucker Punch from Bayonet, but she still ends up taking a slash from the Mimikyu as Wall goes for a Light Screen that might be important later. Our side of the field then gets an Omni Boost for Terrastalizing, which allows Projectile to comfortably OHKO the Bayonet after a Sucker Punch on the next turn. At the same time, Wall takes a soft hit from Mimikyu and is able to set up an Aqua Ring for healing along with her leftovers. Rhyme brings in her Houndstone next, and the crowd gives us another boost, this time to our offensive stats, making this battle easier by the second. Wall uses Helping Hand on Projectile to boost her already broken Liquidation that OHKOs the Houndstone. She then takes a bit more chip damage from Mimikyu's Slash, but heals it back with her double recovery. Toxtricity is up last, and we have to take it out before it gets off a discharge. We do have a Light Screen just in case, but neither Gil nor I want to risk it. So we let the beat drop with another overboosted Liquidation, leaving only the Mimikyu. It wisened up and used Slash on Projectile this time, so we have to switch her out into Stress Ball or risk losing her entirely. Stress Ball takes a bit of chip from a Shadow Sneak on the switch, but he's able to KO the Mimikyu with a Fell Stinger to break the disguise and 2 Helping Hand boosted Poison Jabs. Today we've proved that Gil and I are the better Pokemon battlers, but someday, Rhyme, I'll prove that I'm the better rap battler too. But that comes later. Right now, we need to help Arven battle another Titan. I stand corrected. We're actually going to catch a shiny Sneasel. I forgot to record my audio for this bit, just out of pure shock, but Gil did catch her and we named her Sherbert. God, I love Sneasel's shiny. It's so pretty. But back to what I was saying before. We need to help Arven battle another Titan Pokemon, and this one seems to be a giant robotic version of Donphan. Okay. Weird, but cool, I guess. We scare off the Iron Treads with a single Terra-boosted Liquidation, then team up with Arven to finish it off. This time with 2 Terra-boosted Liquidations. Afterwards, we have another sandwich together, and Miraidon gains the ability to fly. Sorry, buddy. I know you've been trying to convince Gil that you're a fish, so he'll like you better, but fish don't fly, so... you're kind of...
Fish fact number 12.
Okay, so I've just been informed that even though fish cannot fly, there are flying fish that use rigid fins to glide the same way that Miraidon does. So, I guess Miraidon is slowly becoming a fish? I really don't want to think too hard about that. So let's just move on to the next gem. Nemona tries to catch us off guard when we're there, but she's still going easy on Gil, so we beat her with no problem. Tulip, on the other hand, is going to be a lot more difficult. Not only does her Fridge Giraffe have Reflect to nerf Gil's best offensive members, but half of her team has powerful grass moves, and we can't even switch into Stress Ball because they're all Psychic types. If we want to beat this gym with no deaths, then we have to be able to OHKO all of her Pokemon. Something that Gil cannot do with any of his current team members. I've done the calculations, and a Terra-boosted, Mystic Water-boosted Liquidation from Barraskewda with max attack EVs isn't enough to take down Tulip's Fridge Giraffe without a crit. If it was raining, then it would be enough, but Projectile can't set up the rain because the Fridge Giraffe will just set up Reflect, negating the rain dance! Needless to say, Gil and I are freaking out right now. Neither of us want to lose another fish, so we take a moment and we partake in some emotional spectrum practice to help clear our heads. And that's when it hit us. Projectile can't OHKO Tulip's team because Liquidation just doesn't have enough base power. Sadly, Barraskewda doesn't learn any Water-type moves with a higher base power than Liquidation, but Basculin does. Basculin's new signature move, Wave Crash, has a base power of 120. Now this move also does recoil damage, but if Gil catches a blue-striped Basculin with Rock Head, that won't matter anymore. And even though Basculin's base attack stat is lower than Barraskewda's, the difference in move power is just enough for Basculin to OHKO Tulip's entire team. So together, Gil and I go catch a blue-striped Basculin that luckily has Rock Head, EV train her to max attack, and level her up to the level cap, teaching her Wave Crash along the way. The next step is to walk into Tulip's gym with Stripe and OHKO her whole team with a Basculin. Win or lose, I will walk away from this Nuzlocke with a newfound appreciation for blue-striped Basculin. Oh, and if you think that's Stripe's only contribution to this challenge, just wait till you see the fight against Grusha. I know it's the next important battle, but first Dunna evolves into Garchomp and Gil finds another shiny. This is another shiny. What is it with me in this mountain? What the heck? I do have a quick ball. Okay, I was worried that I would have to try and catch it in something else. A shiny Cubchoo. Okay, I'll take it. Dope, I take it. Alright, that's 2 full-on shinies from Glaciato Mountain. Great job, Gil. What am I gonna name you? You know what? No, I know exactly what I need to name you. Your name is Snot Rocket. So, 2 shinies in 1 video. That's pretty cool, right? Not as cool as the fight against the Ice-type gym. Ayo! Grusha doesn't actually show up for our battle, and this Satotl tries to sub in for him, but that's just not gonna fly.
Fish fact number 13.
I'm going to address this now, since I'm sure there's at least one person watching this who's confused by the fact that Gil hasn't caught a Finnison or a Satotl. Both Finnison and Satotl are cetaceans, which is a classification for whales and dolphins and porpoises and stuff like that. This means that they are not fish. They are mammals that just so happen to share some attributes with fish. But Satotl being a mammal does not allow it to replace the gym leader, so Miraidon and Gil go do some sick tricks on the slopes to coax Grusha out into the open. It ends up working, so now the battle can begin. Grusha's first Pokemon is Frostmoth, so Gil leads with Dunna. No, he didn't make a mistake here. This is all part of the plan. Dunna outspeeds the Ice Bug type and connects with a quad-effective Rock Slide that takes it down in 1 hit. Beartick is up next, so we switch into Stripe, who gets hit by a resisted Icicle Crash, proccing her Snowball. For those of you who aren't aware, the Snowball is a held item that raises the holder's attack when they are damaged by an Ice-type move. So with boosted attack, Stripe is free to sweep the rest of Grusha's team with Wave Crash, and that is all 8 gyms defeated. We're only a few more steps away from achieving your dream, Gil, but first, let's help your friends achieve theirs. Gil and I still aren't sure if we should be going along with Operation Starfall, but it seems important to Cassiopeia, so we'll press on for now. The next faction of Team Star is the Fairy Squad, and their leader Ortega seems to appreciate pink just as much as I do, which makes what Gil and I are about to do even more difficult. But nevertheless, we challenge him to a battle. His lead is an Azumarill, so we bring in Lychee, who can very easily OHKO it with a Thunderbolt. His Wigglytuff is out next, so we Volt Switch into Stress Ball, who gets hit with a resisted Play Rough. On the next turn, Stress Ball tries to set up a Minimize, but a Charm changes up our strategy. We pivot into the newly acquired Toxic Spikes, setting up 2 layers before swapping back into Lychee. She gets hit with a Body Slam, but a Volt Switch on the turn after takes down the Wigglytuff and gives us a free switch back into Stress Ball. Darkspun enters the battlefield, and it immediately gets put on a timer with the Toxic Spikes. It manages to connect with 2 Crunches and a Baby Doll Eyes as Stress Ball maxes out his evasion. He then spends the next 3 turns fishing for the Fellstinger attack boost, and actually KOs the Darkspun with the resisted Bug move. But he doesn't get the attack boost. I don't know what happened here, but it definitely had something to do with the Starmobile. My best guess is that since it skips the player's ability to swap Pokemon when it joins the battle, the game just completely forgot to give Stress Ball his attack boost before the car joined the fray. Which, might I add, is total BS. It doesn't end up mattering since the car misses every attack after its initial Steel Roller and Stress Ball is able to take it out with a handful of Poison Jabs, but I'm still mad about it! Anywho, after defeating Ortega, Gil and I learned that Team Star is actually made up of students who were bullied in the academy, and that they banded together to teach their abusers a lesson, but ended up getting in trouble for it. This makes us wonder, why would Cassiopeia want Team Star to disband? They don't seem like bad guys, they're just misunderstood. Well, it's not something to dwell on now. Arvin needs Gil's help, so we race over to Casarroya Lake just in time to see the food chain up close and personal.
Fish fact number 14.
There are many creatures in the world that eat fish. Cats, storks, other fish, even humans. This is because fish are delicious, and that is a fact. But Gil won't stand for the consumption of fish, so we battle the Titan Dondozo and save the poor Tatsugiri that it swallowed. It was so grateful that we saved it that it challenged Gil to a friendly battle where Lychee absolutely crushed it. And now, it's the moment of truth. Will the Herb Mystico work on Boston? Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful! Shut up, Turo! You're ruining the moment! I'm okay. I'm fine. We did it. We helped Arvin save Robostiff. Now, let's help Team Star. As Gil makes his way to the final Team Star base, we run into this shiny Golduck. And we find the boss of the fighting squad guarding the gate. Perfect! Gil tries talking to her, but her lackey interrupts and challenges Gil to a battle. Great, now we have to raid the base. Area is one of the more difficult fights in Violet, so this should be so much fun. Luckily, I've got a plan for this difficult battle, and that plan is Marlene. Again. But this time, the plan involves her signature move, Fillet Away. Fillet Away is a move that takes half the user's max HP and raises their offensive and speed stats by 2 stages each. That move, combined with Stab's super effective Psycho Cuts boosted by the Twisted Spoon, should ensure a quick and deathless victory. Keyword being should. The battle starts exactly how we planned it to. Ares Toxicroak goes for Sucker Punch, which fails as Marlene raises her stats with Fillet Away, then we Terrastalize to negate the Dark weakness. This means Marlene survives the next Sucker Punch and is able to sweep with Psycho Cut and Drill Run right up until the Starmobile hits the field. The boosted Psycho Cut just wasn't enough. The Starmobile is able to survive, and it kills Marlene with a Combat Torque. Stripe is able to come in and avenge Marlene with 2 wave crashes, but that doesn't change the facts. Marlene is gone. I honestly don't think there was anything we could have done to change that outcome. Marlene had max attack EVs, she was at +2 attack from Fillet Away, and she was holding a Twisted Spoon for good measure. Gil couldn't have changed her Terra type back to Psychic because then we would have died to a Sucker Punch. Well, at least she died fighting. Good job, Marlene. Oh, what are you crying about? We're the ones who lost to Pokemon Airy! With all the squad bosses defeated, Cassiopeia informs us that the big boss is all that remains. And in a weird twist of fate, the big boss is actually her. So we agree to meet her face to face at the academy, but that's at night, and Gil and I have some other business to attend to. Namely, adding a new member to the team. Periodically throughout his journey, Gil and I have been returning to the academy to catch up on his studies. In his history class, we learned about some strange artifacts and a set of black stakes that could be connected. Possessed by curiosity, we've been going around Paldea pulling those stakes out of the ground, and now here in North Province Area 2, we can hear the cry of a distant fish Pokemon. In a cave, atop a waterfall, there lies a seal, locking away a forgotten creature. When Gil touched the seal, it was released. Chi-Yu is an ancient evil, sealed away after it razed towns and cities, but today, it's our next encounter. Gil and I were prepared for a long and arduous battle against this legendary fish of nightmares. But it got caught in the first quick ball and we named it Splish Splash.
Fish fact number 15.
Splish Splash may actually be a set of possessed evil beads, but deep down in their heart of hearts, they're a fish. They have scales and gills and fins, and they swim around in the air just like every other fish Pokemon. And now that Splish Splash is on Gil's team, he can make some last-minute preparations and challenge the Elite Four. Gil's team going into the Elite Four is Stress Ball, Dunna, Lychee, Wall, Stripe, and Splish Splash, all at level 60. So after acing her quiz, we start this gauntlet by battling Rika and her ground types. The battle starts with Wall, who has the Light Clay to set up a long-lasting light screen against the Whiscash, while only taking a bit of damage from Earth Power in the process. On the next turn, we swap in Lychee, avoiding another Earth Power with Levitate. Whiscash switches into Muddy Water after that, which drops her accuracy, causing Lychee to miss a Giga Drain. A second Muddy Water doesn't get the accuracy drop, and Lychee is able to connect with a quad-effective Miracle Seed boosted Giga Drain that OHKOs and heals her back to full. Donphan is out next, and it would go down to Giga Drain too, but it has Sturdy and survives on 1 HP. A Stone Edge takes a third of Lychee's health, so we hope for a miss as Gil switches into Stripe. Sadly, the next Stone Edge connects and takes her down to half HP, but an Aqua Jet ensures the Donphan's demise. Dugtrio is third, and it always outspeeds Stripe, but it just goes for Sandstorm, so it gets KO'd by a Wave Crash. And so does the camera up that comes after it. Rika's Ace Clodsire is up last, and it has Water Absorb. So expecting a Terra-boosted Earthquake, Gil switches back into Lychee, who takes no damage. After that, the Clodsire is forced to use Liquidation, so we take it out in 3 Giga Drains. 1 down, 3 to go. Poppy is up next, and she uses Steel types. Knowing this, Gil leads with Lychee again because unlike Splish Splash or Dunna, she's not weak to the Copperage's high horsepower or Play Rough. Besides, a Charcoal-boosted Flamethrower can take it down low enough to where Volt Switch KOs and gives us a free switch into Splish Splash. Our Legendary then proceeds to OHKO Bronzong, Corviknight, not Magnezone because Sturdy, and Tinkaton with Flamethrower. 2 down, 2 to go. Larry apparently works 2 jobs and is being forced to use flying types for this one. Honestly, I feel bad for the poor guy. A lot of you probably expect Gil and I to use Lychee here, but it would be so much more fun to have Splish Splash use Nasty Plot while the Tropius sets up the Sun, and then sweep Larry's whole team with Nasty Plot, Sun, Terra, and Charcoal boosted Flamethrowers. 3 down, 1 to go. Hassel is our last hurdle before the champion, and if we want to beat him, we have to swap Wall out for Artery. Trust me, this change to the team is important. We start the battle with Stripe, who faces off against Hassel's Noivern. She takes a hefty chunk of damage from a Dragon Pulse, but is able to fire back with a super effective Head Smash that OHKOs the Bat Dragon. Dragalge is up next, and since we know it has Thunderbolt, we switch Stripe into Dunna, who takes no damage. After that, a Terra-boosted Dragon Claw takes out the Dragalge, and the Flapple and Haxorus that come next. Baxcalibur is a terrifying Pokemon for Dunna to face in battle, and it just so happens to be Hassel's ace. With its high base defense, we're not exactly sure that a Dragon Claw will OHKO, so we sacrifice Artery to a Glaive Rush. Wait, hold on. There's a method to the madness. When Glaive Rush is used, all attacks made against the user before they move again deal twice as much damage. So, by letting Artery die to a Glaive Rush, we can bring Dunna back in and use the extra damage to ensure that she takes down the Baxcalibur with 1 Dragon Claw. I'm sorry you had to die, Artery, but ironically I'm not very heartbroken over your death. Gil is distraught, but I feel nothing. Now that all the members of the Elite Four have been defeated, there's only one trainer standing between Gil and his dream. Champion Geeta. She claims to be one of the strongest trainers in Paldea, but her team has one glaring weakness. Literally any Pokemon with the type combo of Fire Ghost or Fire Dark. It's ridiculous. I know we've already used Splish Splash in a lot of the Elite Four, but Geeta has to be punished for being the weakest champion in the entire franchise. So we start the battle with Splish Splash, and they OHKO Geeta's Espathra, Avalugg, King Gambit, Veluza, and Go-Goat. But when her Ace Glamora hits the field, we decide to switch into Dunna. She takes a really odd Earth Power on the switch. Honestly, I would have suspected Power Gem or something like that. But it doesn't matter because she's able to outspeed on the next turn and OHKO the Glamora with an Earthquake. We did it. We beat the champion. And in any other region, that would make Gil the strongest trainer there is. But apparently, Nemona is leagues stronger than Geeta, so Gil's gonna have to wait a little bit longer before he's able to achieve his dream. So it's time to meet Cassiopeia. We head to the academy, and Clive is waiting for us at the door. In a surprising plot twist, he reveals himself to be Director Clavel. What? Okay. He also tries to convince us that he is Cassiopeia, but a quick battle reveals that that's a lie. We press on and make our way up to the schoolyard. Waiting for us is Cassiopeia. No, Penny. It all makes sense now. This is why she was so weird around Team Star. This is why she joined Operation Starfall. The bosses are her friends, and she knew her friends were going to get expelled. She wanted us to save them by breaking up the team. And now, with one last battle, we'll dismantle Team Star for good. Penny has a team of evolutions, and Umbreon is the bulkiest one of them all, so we lead with Wall, who can absorb some hits while setting up a light screen and a wish. Penny somehow predicts our switch into Dunna, going for a Baby Doll Eyes instead of a Dark Pulse, and basically making Wall's wish useless. The lowered attack isn't great, but Umbreon really doesn't have anything to hit Dunna with, so we're eventually able to take it out with Earthquake. Vaporeon is next, so we swap into Stress Ball, who can tank a resisted hit. The Aurora Beam lowers Stress Ball's attack along with the Baby Doll Eyes on the next turn, but we're just looking to raise our evasion for now. We get off 2 minimizes before the Vaporeon misses a Hydro Pump, and then a third on the next turn. We then set up 2 layers of Toxic Spikes before the Vaporeon finally hits Stress Ball. Geez, it took you long enough. Now that we're all set up, Stress Ball is free to take out Penny's Vaporeon, Jolteon, Leafeon, and Sylveon, winning the battle against Team Star's founder.
Fish fact number 16.
A group of fish is called a school. A group of kids is also called a school. And whether it be fish or kids, a school is a community. And when you find the right community, they'll never abandon you. And they'll never let you abandon them. Director Clavel knows this. That's why he decided to let Team Star continue to exist. So the community that Penny built didn't have to abandon each other. Penny thanks Gil for keeping her dream alive, but that's not the last we'll see of her. For now, we have to meet Arvin by his dad's lab for a battle. This battle isn't too difficult. The most impactful thing that occurred was the death of Gil's starter. Projectile died to a Terra-boosted Crunch from a Bostiff, and that just sucks. We started Gil's journey with her, and even though she got replaced by Stripe toward the end, Gil and I loved Projectile with all our hearts. You were an incredible partner, Projectile. May you rest in peace. Know that you'll never be forgotten. We can't mourn for long, though, because from within the lab, strange noises can be heard. We go inside to investigate, and it turns out that Turo needs our help. He's stuck in the Great Crater of Paldea, and he wants us to make our way down to him. But before we can do that, Gil has one thing left to do. We train up the team, and as the sun sets, we meet Nimona on the battlefield. One more battle, no holding back. She leads with Lycanroc as usual, so Gil and I throw out Dunna. She sets up a Sword Stance as the Lycanroc goes for her first turn Stealth Rocks. We don't plan on switching much, so this really accomplishes nothing. An Earthquake after that KOs Man's best friend, prompting Nimona to send in Goodra. Dunna outspeeds on the next turn and takes it out with a Dragon Claw, then Pawma and Dunsparce fall to an Earthquake each. Orthworm is up next, and it resists or is immune to all of Dunna's attacks. So we swap into Splish Splash. They take some pretty hefty damage from Stealth Rocks and Iron Tail, but Splish Splash outspeeds Nimona's last 2 Pokemon and can win the battle with 2 Flamethrowers. Nimona rejoices at having a worthy adversary, and Gil has finally proved to the world how incredibly powerful fish really are. In fact, let's make it official.
Fish fact number 17.
Fish are the strongest Pokemon there are. But we're not done yet. Professor Turo still needs Gil's help down in the Great Crater. So after calling in a few favors, we assembled a squad and descend into Area 0. The crater is just breathtaking, but it's also filled with robotic Pokemon just like the Iron Treads we fought earlier. Apparently these Pokemon were brought here from the far future by Professor Turo's time machine, which is really bad.
Fish fact number 18.
Fish live in a very fragile ecosystem that could just collapse when disturbed. Future Pokemon wandering around Paldea will definitely disturb the fish ecosystem, and Gil can't allow that. We have to stop the Professor's time machine. So after battling some more robots and meeting another Miraidon, we learned that the Professor Turo we know is actually a robot himself, and he wants to shut down the time machine too. His Miraidon, on the other hand, isn't too keen on helping. But that's fine, we don't need it. Turo, Gil, and I take the elevator down to the time machine, where the Professor informs us that his programming will force him to protect the machine by any means necessary. Knowing that, we proceed to deactivate it. We have to.
ID confirmed. Professor Turo. Access granted. Initiating emergency shutdown. Please wait. Please wait. Access denied. Shutdown command overridden. Reinitializing.
It's up to you now, Gil.
AI Turo switching to sleep mode. Activating offensive protocols.
Please, defeat me. At last. My dream is finally within reach. And you're not getting in my way.
This is it. The last battle of this run. AI Turo starts with Iron Moth, but Gil and I start with a huge mistake. I forgot that Iron Moth has Disc Charge, and it ends up using that move to kill Stripe. This really throws off our game, since I'm now frazzled for the remainder of the battle. We bring in Dunna, who can OHKO the Iron Moth with a quad-effective Earthquake, but Iron Bundle is understandably next. This is where we make our second mistake of the battle. Gil switches into Wall to set up a potential light screen, but I again forget that Iron Bundle has Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is a move that's super effective against water types, and it takes Wall from 345 HP to 93 HP. Now we have a dilemma. We can either switch Wall out and potentially lose another team member, or sacrifice Wall and get a safe switch. We end up choosing the latter and bringing in Lychee for super effective damage. After that, the Iron Bundle outspeeds, but it ends up using Snowscape, giving us a free KO with Thunderbolt. Next up is Iron Thorns, and a Stone Edge does over half of Lychee's health. Luckily, a Giga Drain heals her up enough to allow her to survive another, but not if it's a crit, which it is. I mean, what else is there to say? I guess we should have played around the crit. Dunna rejoins the fight and avenges her fallen teammates with an Earthquake. The incoming Iron Hands catches us off guard with a Fake Out, and its massive bulk allows it to survive a super effective Earthquake. Drain Punch takes Dunna down to about half HP, but the healing isn't enough for the Iron Hands to survive another Earthquake on the next turn. Iron Jugulis is up next, and it can only take Dunna down to 43 HP before it goes down to 2 Dragon Claws. Turo's ace is the terrifying Iron Valiant, and with the booster energy increasing its attack, Gil and I aren't sure we can win this battle. Not after all the casualties we've faced. But we have to try. Dunna connects with an Earthquake, but the Iron Valiant survives and kills her with a Brick Break. We only have 2 Pokemon left, so we send in Stress Ball. Gil terastallizes him one last time, and as Turo calls for a Psycho Cut, Stress Ball survives, and OHKOs with a Poison Jab. And that's it! We won. Or did we?
An obstacle is preventing the time machine from performing as intended. Activating Paradise Protection Protocol to remove the offending obstacle. Locking all Pokeballs except those registered to Turo's ID. Program initializing. Gathering Terrestrial Energy.
I'm sorry, children. This is too much for you. You must run.
AI Turo disabled. Paradise Protection Protocol initialized.
The fight's not done yet. We have one more battle against the AI Paradise Protection Protocol. It sends out Miraidon, but when Gil tries to throw Stress Ball's Pokeball, it's locked. All of our Pokeballs are locked. But if we can't throw out our Pokemon, how are we supposed to defeat this thing? We can't even fight it.
Fish fact number 19.
Lizards are not fish. But that doesn't matter anymore. Because if you put in the effort, and you truly believe in yourself, you can achieve anything. Gil's Miraidon takes its battle form and is ready to fight for all of the fish in Paldea. Every strike is filled with the memory of all the friends we made along the way, and the ones we lost, too. Gyarados, Marlene, Artery, Projectile, Stripe, Wall, Lychee, and Dunna. Their sacrifices will not be in vain. This last strike is for them. And that's it. That's how Gil and I beat a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon Violet with only fish. But now, Gil doesn't need me. With his friends by his side, he can accomplish anything he sets his mind to. Goodbye, Gil.
Fish fact number 20. Fish may not actually be the strongest Pokemon there are, but with hard work and dedication, they were able to prove their merit when it counted. They're reliable partners, and thanks to them, I was able to achieve my dream.